You in the back of the crowd could see the expressions on the faces of my class and the faculty seated among you, that there's more than a little hint of anticipation and anxiety as I stand on this stage. You see, I'm not the most predictable person in front of a group, particularly with a microphone in front of me, particularly at karaoke bars. But my friends, you can all breathe a sweet sigh of relief right now. I promise I'll keep this generally appropriate, and here's why. Out in the audience, amongst this sea of wonderful friends and family and meaningful people who have traveled across the globe to be with us today, are my own two sweet grandmothers. Hi, Betty. Hi, Jodan. And if there's one place that I like to draw the line, it's just prior to the offending of grandmothers. So brace yourselves, people, off we go. I have been charged today with speaking on behalf of an incredibly talented, varied, and unique group of individuals. The OHSU medical class of 2010, and those colleagues who have joined us from classes above. It's a rather daunting task, for we're a strong-willed and fiercely independent amalgamation of potent personalities. We're proud of this, as we should be, but we are also very different. And how do you speak for everyone? It took me a while, but as I sat and thought about how to encapsulate this most recent and similar chapter in our very dissimilar lives, three broad categories seemed to stand out, demanding to be addressed. The things we've seen, the ways we've changed, and the people that we have to thank. Things that we've seen. Just for a moment, I want everybody here in this room to imagine a hospital. Towering, labyrinthine, monolithic. 2, 10, 12 stories, it doesn't matter. Might be a hospital you've worked in, spent time in as a patient, visited an ailing family member or friend. Imagine it now. Now keep that image in your mind's eye. Humor me for a moment, because I want all of you to imagine that building, all of its walls and floors and elevators and hallways, as completely and totally transparent as the first glaze of winter ice. An entire building constructed from the finest crystal, without a smudge, a glass hospital. Can you see it? Can you imagine what it would look like? Hundreds of patients lined up in their beds, floating above and below each other on 14 perfect planes of midair. You see the machines hovering around them, hissing and beeping and infusing. The colorful scrubs of the nurses in their soft-soled shoes passing between them. You see the Zamboni-like vacuums, one on top of the other, on top of the other, whisking the carpet of the long corridors between the transparent walls and the exposed bathrooms, and the fish tank view of the surgical suites, and the floating CT scanners, and the hovering lines of hungry people waiting in the cafeterias. You look a little closer, and you begin to see teams of starched, clean doctors roving in packs between the sick. And mixed in with those regal, long, white lab coats are some silly-looking short ones. And wearing those short coats are us, trailing behind the team, lingering over patients' beds, collecting vitals and laboratory data, sometimes hiding in the bathroom. The medical students that you see before you today. The things that we have had the opportunity to collectively see every day would shock and amaze most of you. Separated only by these thin walls and floors is the entire spectrum of the human condition, distilled and consolidated in one building. To see it all at once through transparent walls would be utterly overwhelming. The thick, sweet, dense smell of a baby emerging to the exhausted moans of its mother, slippery and perfectly new, eyes opening without preconception or sin to see the world for the first time. A tired old body with tubes going in and tubes coming out, just clinging to life with each mechanical breath. the desperation of a mind spiraling into madness on the inpatient psychiatry ward, the slow clearing of consciousness and the emergence of self as that madness resolves. Just pregnant teenagers facing hugely complex decisions about just what the heck to do next. Young, terrified fathers looking so happy and so awkward in their lilac paper booty suits and buttons, crouching at their wives' heads and whispering encouragement as the obstetricians cut down to the baby. Surgeons with their sterile drapes spinning into their blue dresses, huddling over deep and well-lit holes in the flesh with uncompromising perfection. Stitches thrown on a beating heart. The slippery flower of the small bowel spreading out yellow and pink from the mesenteric root, as delicate and tender as the petals on any rose. The old veteran clinging to a soft pack of Camels as his nurse rolls him outside to the curb, lets him light one up and bring it to his trach. It's all he has left, he says through his vibratory microphone. And who here can blame him? An overwhelmed single mother with a crying 2-year-old and a beautiful new child. Tears welling up at her eyes at her first pediatric visit because she's embarrassed to admit that she doesn't feel as happy as she thinks she should. As happy as she's letting on to others. A huge family, standing around with Grandpa at the sliding door of the main entrance of the hospital, waiting for the car to be brought up. Everybody's arms are filled with wilting flowers and get well balloons. Everybody's smiling. He's getting better every day. He's going home. We have collectively seen these things every day in this hospital and others for 4 entire years, and it has changed us. The ways we've changed. During our first week of medical school, we sat in the old library auditorium on the day that we received that short white coat and listened to the faculty talk about the trying and formative years that lay ahead. We believed them when we said that we would feel ourselves changing. But I don't think that most of us understood until more recently what exactly they meant. 4 years is a long time. It went by so damn quickly. A lot happened. Some of us fell in love. Some of us drifted apart. We had children, lots of children, beautiful children. We've gotten a little chunky. I myself weigh 23 pounds more today than when I walked across the stage on that first day. I'm not any taller, and I have not gained any muscle mass. And I feel comfortable telling you this because I know that I am not alone. We have fallen ill in our bodies and our minds. Some of us have healed completely, and some of us still struggle every day. We have fallen off rocks and cliffs, some metaphorical and some painfully concrete, as evidenced by the casts and scars and wheelchairs here among us today. We've been humbled and we've been inspired, had fleeting moments of competence interspersed between long periods of confusion and feelings of ineptitude. I do have to say, though, that after 4 years, the ratio seems to be improving somewhat. And the relationship may flip the other way someday soon. At least that's what we keep telling ourselves. We've tempered somewhat, the faculty say. We came into this thing studying on all cylinders. A genetically enhanced, naturally selected, competitively honed breed of academic superheroes. We pushed the bell curve so far to the right that it no longer resembled a bell at all. We clawed and fought over every measly question during exam reviews. So much so that some professors just stopped showing up. And now, well, let's just see rotations are seeming a little more optional these days. Our cumulative GPA has taken an Olympic swan dive since MASH day. The student lounge, which used to be used for sleeping and eating on call, has turned into a 24-hour-a-day social extravaganza.